Michael, in Matthew 24, 4 through 12, talking about before the tribulation or after. Is Matthew 24 talking about the before the tribulation or after?
The whole chapter?
He referenced 24, 4 through 12.
4 through 12.
Yeah.
4 through 12. You know what, Michael? Actually, when you go through Revelation chapter 6, the six seals correspond to Matthew chapter 24 really well. And so the first seal in Revelation chapter 6 is the rise of the Antichrist. And so you see this dude riding on a white horse carrying a bow. That's not Jesus. Jesus comes back riding on a white horse, but he has a sword, and the sword's coming out of his mouth. It's the idea that he doesn't need a weapon. He's got the word of God. And so that's a picture of a false Christ. And you see in verse 5, many will come in my name saying I'm the Christ and will deceive many. Now, obviously, those are things that are going on right now. The ultimate issue is going to be when the Antichrist appears. Then the next one is you'll hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And that's the second thing that you see in Revelation 6. You see warfare that ends up destroying the lives of a quarter of the people on the planet. The third and the fourth thing that you see are pestilences and earthquakes, famines and pestilences and earthquakes. And again, those correspond to seals 3 and 4. And then in verse 9, then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you'll be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And that corresponds to the fifth seal, which is the martyrs under the altar, people who've been killed for their faith. And then the sixth seal is verse 29. Some of the rest of this you see in other places in the book of Revelation. So when I'm reading Matthew chapter 24, when I'm looking at verses 4 through 7, for example, they correspond to Revelation 6, but I recognize that those can be precursors to the time of the tribulation. It can also be talking about that whole thing, because we have seen false Christs, we've seen wars and rumors of wars, and we've seen famines and pestilences, and when you look at earthquakes, those are things that are on the rise. And it's like, this is something that people argue about as far as earthquakes being on the rise. I've checked out the USGS over and over, and it's factual. The stats that they give, earthquakes are getting more intense and more prevalent as time goes on. And that's not to say that that's the fulfillment of all that, but you see those things. But when you get to verse 9, then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you'll be hated by all nations for my name's sake. That is tribulation stuff, although it's happening in other contexts. And when you look at verse, again, you get up to verse 15, the abomination of desolation, that's connected with all of that. And so verses 4 through 7, 4 through 8 or so, I wouldn't die on the hill that says that's during the tribulation. Those could be precursors. But again, it matches Revelation 6 pretty well. But after that, this is tribulation stuff. So,
all right, Mike, thanks for posting. Hopefully that answers your question, man.